how the Python is very useful for data science project, and what we are doing with then Pythons and how we can create our projects. So we show in today's session. So without wasting our time, so let's we have a start our project. Okay, so right now my one other colleagues, the name is Mr. Razin Sheikh, is joining with us because right, due to Corona, my one of the developers they are not be able to attending this session. So the other person is Razin Sheikh is also be a participant with this programming language, and they can also give you the practical session. They show you practical sessions how the data using a Pythons, and we do the many tasks with the Python with the Flask framework in PyCharm. Okay, so first of all, today's sessions we have a brief introduction about the Python, why we are using a Python and not other languages. Then after the MySQL database connections, because the database data is very important. So database related, and then the PyCharm with the Flask. We combine the PyCharm as well as when we have to starting our program, and we do all of our program on PyCharm ID because PyCharm is very easy and they can give the all the functionality. So first we start our session why we are using a Python. So everyone know that in Python is created by the Judo van Roosens on the late 1980 with the CWI company, which name is Central Wisdom and Informatica company. The Judo and Rushan already making the ABC programming, and they're inspired by the other programming language. Basically, they are from the Netherlands. So in late 1980, so the Java and Python are both introduced both on the same time duration, but the Java is going to be far rich compared to Python, because in Python they have some little bit issues which is resolved by the Python version 3. So Python 2, and then after the version of the 2.1, 2.3, 2.7, many versions from the Python they came into the market, but they're not running. But after they come, they had to make the some changes. Basically, they are not supporting the exception handling, so they remove this kind of the problems. And Python 3 is right now in the market, and we are using Python 3.5, and right now the latest 3.7, then 3.8, and 3.9 is latest one. So I give the why we are the using the Python, because Python gives the lots of library right now. So first of all, why the Python? So first we understand why you're using Python for the data science. If you have the initial tools like an advanced Excel, that we have to see in the previous sessions. So Excel is already available. So why should we using a Python? Why we required any other technologies? Because data science and data analytics works basically from the non-technical works. If the persons getting the data, they can analyzing the data and then generating the reports, graphs, charts. So they can predict what is the future about their organizations, about the products, what the new things they had to be developed. So if we have the Excel tools, and Excel is providing a versatile facilities, they have lots of things so we can do within Excel. But why should we are not using Excel and Python? The main reason is, if we have take the millions of data on an Excel. Right now I'm talking about if I get the 1 lakhs entry over there, and if I'm just doing some kind of the performance, so Excel is not performing very well. They are just liking a slowdown, too much slowdown to presenting the result. So if we have lots of data, so that's why we are not using a Excel on that time. So we need some programming languages. So as a first session, I told you that that's a lots of programming languages we are using from the data science, like R language, SAS, statistical analytical systems. R is an open source, SAS is a paid programming language. Then after the Python is over right now in the body hot booming in the market, and Hadoop. So Python is a general purpose interpreter, and interactive and object oriented and high level programming language. Python was created by, I told you that, the Giovanni Rousans in the late 18s and early 19s. Like Paul, a Python source code is also now available under the GNU, a General Public License. So everyone can, and even the Python is also supporting the new features like a GitHub, which is supporting the coding platform. So any programmer, they can get the data from the GitHub and they can run the program on the cloud basis and they can generating the results. So Python supporting lots of facilities, even though Python has a lots of libraries which also supporting for the data science. So I told you that why we are not using an Excel and why we are using a Python. Because compared to Python, if you're making any kind of the project which is very easy, very scalable, rich library they have. Second things, very huge data they also be contained. Second, why you need it in Python as in a data science. For first things in the simplicity. Python is one of the easiest language to start your journey, and also it is simply is does not limit your functional possibility. What gives the Python such functionality? There are the multiple factors. Python is a free and open source language, high performing language, interpreted, and it has a numerous communities. Many programmers they are joining, they make their libraries, they update the libraries. So we're getting a lots of resources to creating our projects. And second thing is libraries and frameworks. Due to its popularity, Python has hundreds of different libraries and frameworks, which is a great addition to your development process. And they have a lot of manual times and can easily replace the whole solution as a data scientist. And you will find you will find that the many of this library will be a focus on data analytics and machine learning. So that is a huge support of the big data. So like a pandas, NumPy, Matplotlib, Seaborn, Streamline, there's a lots of files we have been using, and those files are specifically designed. Those libraries specifically designed for only and only from the data analytics. They're generating the graphs, visualize representations like Panda, NumPy, Matplotlib, where you have to be joining. Seaborn is a supporting for that. Even though a base 64 file which is converting your data binary data into the text formats and representing the data. So Python providing the rich library and frameworks. The second option is web development. Basically Flask, I told you that Flask is a micro frameworks. We know about the Django, we know about the pyramids, but right now in today's scenario, 1918, there's a most popular right now the Flask is going on. It's slightly they had to compare with the Django, but right now the most popular language, most popular framework is right now in the market in the Flask because they are micro frameworks. They're providing all kind of the facilities. So what is the web development? To make your development process as easy it is possible only to learn Python, and there are a lot of Django and Flask libraries and frameworks for the coding productivity. Right now, you to speed up your projects. Right now, I mentioned one of the example. If you are compared the PHP and Python, you can find that the same task can be created within a few hours of the code in a PHP, but within a Python, it take only the few minutes. Because in PHP, yes, we can create lots of projects on PHP as well as when in compared to web development on Python so much easy because they generating routes and that is very easy, and they have to only contain all the py files where they take all the codes. You over here I have to be mentioned some of the very famous full stack and micro frameworks like a Django, then Pyramid, Web2Py, Flask, and CarryPy. So right now, our main focus on this topic is the Flask. We are using a Flask for the web development, and we are using some of the libraries. Those library we are using for the data analysis. So the main topic we are containing within a Flask and how that should be very useful for us. So right now we talking about the Flask frameworks. Okay, so first of all, Flask is a micro web framework written in a Python. It is classified as a micro framework because it does not require any particular tools and libraries when you have been installed. Okay, And this applications basically Pinstar and Linkit, they are basically making these frameworks are to make LinkedIn and Printstar. They are making on the Flask right now. These two most popular application we have to see. We know about this most popular websites. So they are creating one in the Flask. Flask was created by the admin Rancho or Pasco as an international group of the Python enthusiasts from in 2004, and is the most developer survey in 2000. That is the most popular web framework right now in the market. In 2018, that's the most popular web framework they're getting. So we are using a Flask in our PyCharm. We are using the IDE as a PyCharm. Many people they have to suggesting they have already installed in the Anaconda, but the we suggesting if you are installing the PyCharm, which is very stable and all the library you can finding very easily. With using the pip installation, let's we have to show you how to installing every library within the pip. And but compared to Anaconda and compared to in PyCharm there's very a stable mode, and you're getting lots of libraries over there, and they can easily install. If you didn't know about how to fire the pip command, so you can getting all the library from the interpreter as well as. So that should be very easy for us, even though that very easy for run, and the generating the port numbers and local URL, so we can float them into the web, our HTML, our web browser, and we show the result as well as. So we are doing all the project from the Flask on PyCharm ID, and we show you step by step how to install each and everything on the PyCharm. So first, we suggesting you please install the MySQL connector. So right now we are talking about which libraries we use when we making our projects. So first our MySQL connector, then Matplotlib, then after NumPy, Seaborns, input output, and base 64, which is right now very important files. So you should be install. If you don't know how to install, so I explain each and everything how to install those library into your PyCharm, as well as we give you one of the first basic practical about the Flask. So how to run the Flask, and what kind of the code we have to be writing on the Flask ID, so the generating the output, and then after we show some basic project about the data analysis, which is show a visualization with using the Matplotlib. So our first library is MySQL connector. We already know the MySQL connector is an open database connectivity. Some call as this is one of the driver where we have to connecting our database to our Flask frameworks, and they take all the database and the related tables information to our Flask, because the most important thing, the database, without data we can't do anything. So we need this MySQL connector file. There is a two file, MySQL connector and MySQL base. That's a lots of file is available right now in the Flask. So many times the any developers and right now participation, they should be confused. There should be confused. That should be confused and which MySQL file we have to be load. So I'm strongly suggesting please install MySQL connector file. Am I right? MySQL hyphen connector. MySQL hyphen connector. If you are installing MySQL, that's not an issue, and MySQL base, that's not an issue. But please install MySQL connector. I show you how to install. Then after the next file is Matplotlib. What is a Matplotlib? A Matplotlib is a plotting library for the Python programming language, and it's a numerical mathematical extension by using the NumPy. It provides an object-oriented API for an application using general purpose GUI toolkits like Tinctures, WX Python, Qt, JTK+. Generally, we using a Matplotlib for representing a plotting graphs from our Flask. If we give the data through the list, through the tuples, otherwise we have to fetch the data from the database. So with using the Matplotlib library, they're generating on a graphical and visualization mode. So Matplotlib was originally written by the John D. Hunters, and this is distributed under the BDS and Brinkley software distribution. They have the style license. So they are also available on a Flask. We can also install with the pip command as well as, and we have also get the in interpreter as well as. So that is very important library to do first of all for any data science program. So we are installing the Matplotlib. With the NumPy, they can do the mathematical extensions. Second thing is NumPy. NumPy is a library for the Python programming language, adding the support large and multi-dimensional arrays and metrics, along with the large collection of the high-level mathematical functions. The enhancer of NumPy, a numeric was originally created by the Jim Huggins with contribution from the several other developers in 2005, and tooling option created by the NumPy by the incorporation features of the complete numeric into the num array into the numeric with the extension and modification. NumPy is open source software and has many contributions. Generally, we are using a NumPy when we are using list and tuples and we getting the data, so we can arrange with the using of the NumPy and the matplotlib those get the data and representing on a visualization formation. So the other important file is a NumPy. Okay, in which version NumPy M1 1.19.3 1.19.3 91 1.19.3. Okay, we suggesting we are installing the NumPy 1.19.3 versions. This is some older versions, but previous version is the latest one. And previous version is also working. Okay, this is the previous version. The latest version is not working yet. Sorry for interruption. First of all, I told you that if you are installing the NumPy, those participation who are already installing the NumPy then in PyChamp, so please avoid the latest one. Please installing the previous one 1.19.3 because latest version is not supporting very well. They have some issue when we are using this latest version. So please installing 1.19.3. I just writing down. So this is the previous one. You also getting the new one NumPy versions. So we using first of all NumPy 1.19.3. So we just draw the data with the using the NumPy and the Matplotlib. They getting the data and representing on visualization basis. Then after the other very important library is pandas. In programming language, Panda is a software library written by the Python programming language for the data manipulations and analysis. Data analysis. In particular, it offers the data structures and operation for the manipulating numerical tables and time series. And it is a free release right now. It is a free software release under the 3 clauses of BSD license. And basically Panda is mainly used for the data analysis, we know that, and from the various file format like a common separate value, JSON value, SQL value, Microsoft Excel. In Excel they are already taking the CSV file and Panda allows the various data manipulation operations such as merging, reshaping, selecting, as well as the data cleaning and data wrangling features as well as. So that is very important library when we do the data analysis program. So also we need the pandas for our data science projects. So we are also installing them in Panda. And then after, the other programming language is a Seaborn. Seaborn is help you to explore and understand your data. It's a plotting functions operate on D frames and arrays, contain the whole data sets and internally performance and necessary semantics mappings and statistical aggregation to produce the informative plots. It's a data set oriented. Declarative API lets you focus when we are using this Seaborns. So the Seaborn is a library for making the statistical graphics in Python, and it builds at top of the Matplotlib because we have been using the Matplotlib, so we also require the Seaborns. Is slightly integrated with them and slightly also integrated within Panda. They are just like in bridge between both the Pandas and Matplotlib and strategically arranged. So we also need the Seaborns library. Then after, the other library is IO library. By default, they are already installed when we are doing a Python program. But right now we are also mentioned the IO library. The IO module is input and output modules, and this input output module provide the Python's main facilities like binaries, raw input output, binary input output, and is considered the object who belongs to any of these categories called the file objects. Other common terms and the streams like file, license, and objects. So basically, we are using for input output functions. We are using the IO. They are by default installed when we are doing in any project in a PyCharm in Flask. I'm sorry to every time I'm talking about the PyCharm. So please remember I'm talking about in Python. So they by default already installed. Then after, the other very important library is a base 64. Okay, so in a programming, base 64 is a group of the binary to text encoding schema that representing the binary data, more specific, especially a sequence of the 8-bit bytes and ASCII string formats by translating into the Redux 64 representation. The term by 64 orientation from the specific MIME constant transfer encoding, each non final base 64 digit representing only the exact 6 bits of the data. And the 3 8 bits can be therefore be represented by the 4 6 bits in 64-bit digits. Basically, what is the use of the base 64? In the base 64, when we getting the data from the database, so and we this data already on the string formations, so we have to be converted, and they using for the representation. Basically, they are using for the conversations. They convert the text data into the binary formats. So our Matplotlib and any other library they can understand and they representing the graph. So that's why we are using a base 64. So right now I'm talking about all the libraries which we are using. Other library is a streamline library, which is very open. You can also finding from the online as well as the versatile like widgets and everything else. But our basic program, we need those all libraries. First of all, the Flask, and then after the mysql connectors, then Matplotlib, then NumPy, then pandas, and then Seaborns and IO and base 64. Okay, so let's we start our program. Anyone have a question regarding these libraries? Anyone have the questions regarding this library? We install one by one. So my suggestion is please write down those libraries. So when we are doing installation, so when we do the installation, so everyone have know which library they have to be installed their PyCharm. Okay. So
Participant, unmute yourself if any question regarding libraries, if you have.
okay, just we are installing the library so they can understand. So I'm open the PyCharm community over my PC. I just give you about regarding ID. They take some time, please. Just open PyCharm. हो गया सब पीछे हो गया. Share screen है. Share screen है please. 1 minute. So पीछे रहना. Okay. Microsoft चालू. Okay ये. Okay. कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. Okay. I hope everyone have installed the PyCharm community. We told that, and we also shared the link about the where you have to downloading your. It is okay. First of all, you have to see this. They are already installed all the modules which they need. Okay, they show my already open projects. So first of all, I'm creating a new one. So I create a new project. Okay, so this is my location where my project are located right now. See user welcome PyCharm projects and give them project name. Okay, uh, they already also installing the virtual LENV, well, virtual library. They are also installed in user 10 projects, and I just create it. Even though they have also mentioned that project means in where the temp is created by default, they created VNV also. I show you. I open with the new window. So in some are asking me why, sir, with the we how we install, because right now in PyCharm they're providing all the facility. First of all, we are installing the pip. First of all, if we are not using a PyCharm, so we are installing the pip first. So we have to fire those command in our command prompt, and then we installing the pip. But I show you in PyCharm they already installed the pip files, so we not require how we installing the pip files. So also I show you that they're creating their virtual environment first of all. They take lots of time. I'm sorry they take the time for first of all. Okay, so over here you see this scanning the all index filing, and they required any data, so they also grab the data as well as on interpreter. it might take some time for loading. Does it take lots of time? Hmm? Mhm. Hmm. See, also they take the successful installation tip because I'm already connected to the internet. So in this virtual environment, you have to see that the previous one they are uninstalled and they install the new one pip 19.2.3. Sorry, uninstalling the pip. Okay, so they are updating Python paths, then skeletons as well as, and they open their main file. So right now the PyCharm is open. Okay, so uh, also they are installing some of the packages if they require. So they're installing. So let's we do our task first of all. So first of all, this is my folder 10 where my all the project is located. Then after the venv, this is a library root files. They're already pre-created. If they are not created, so first of all, if we finding where our project is located. So I go to the path as well as first of all. So they located on my C drive first of all, but I am showing you the other shortcut way first of all. C drive, user, sorry, this is my PyCharm projects. So this is a temp. So already they installing the VNV file. If the VNV file is not installed, so we go to the command prompt, we open the CMD, and we just write down pip install v e and v, and we just enter this command. So they installing the virtual folder over here, but right now we're using a Python they already created. So this is a command where where you're with the cmd command you are installing this, but already they are created on my folder, so I'm not doing the same task. As well as we also open this terminal as well. As in this terminal we can write down the command, we fire the command pip commands, and we are also installing many libraries over here. So first of all, we see that where the libraries are located. So I previously told that when we are using the PyCharm, so the by default installing the pip. So first of all, we go to the file, and in this file we go to the setting. In this setting, we go to the project of the temp, where we getting the Python interpreters. We just select the Python interpreter. So over here to see this pip and setup tools are already installed. Just 1 minute. So the Flask is not installing over here. So if you want to install any libraries, you go to this plus sign and you just click the plus sign, and you getting all the libraries detail over here. And you have to simply click and downloading the library as if you need which library you want to using with your PyCharm program. So you can easily downloading the library as well as over here. Okay. The second way is we also installing the library with the terminal as well as. So we just install with the terminal. But one thing is I have to tell you that when we creating projects, so every time we are not load any kind of file. So PyCharm is providing already. I previously created one of the demo projects. So we are using their virtual library also in this. So all interpreter. So you have to see this. My previous one already created with all the libraries, so we can use this library as well as. But right now we create a new ones in front of you, so we can understand how to installing all the libraries in our interpreter. So that is my first main py file. I'm not using this main py file. That is, so I creating the new one over here. So in the temp, we just right click and the new one, and we create a Python file. Give the name as a temp. So this is my temp file. So first of all, we need a Flask, because the Flask is a web development. So they are bridge between my database and my HTML file. So they're representing data from the database, and they do some manipulations using some libraries and representing in an HTML format as well as. In an HTML format, if we need some of the graphs, visualizations, so Flask is very useful for us. So first of all, we need a Flask over here. So at the bottom, you see that this is the terminal. We click on the terminal. We just write down the pip install Flask. See, when you are write down the capital Flask, see, I make the Flask F as a capital. So what they install? What they install, we have to see. First of all, I'm write down pip install Flask, and I just enter it. So in my venv file, virtual library file, they install libraries. Okay, they install some of the libraries. Let's we show which libraries they have to. Okay, so right now they're successfully completed. So I just close this terminal. I again go to the file, then of the settings, then on the Python interpreter. They're just loading. Okay. They install Flask, Jinja 2, and other libraries, supported library as well as. But first thing we do, so sometime what happened when you write down in the capital Flask, so they are not installing some files, but we do another things. We also installing pip with the Flask pip install Flask as well as my Flask is already installed because in previous project I already installed the Flask, so they show me the Flask. But sometimes when you write down the capital Flask, so they're not installing Flask, they only installing the related libraries file, which is very which Flask is using when they do the projects. So this is the right command: pip install Flask, and just click the enter button. Okay. Right now I close the terminal, and all again I'm show the terminal as well as I'm going to the setting. So first of all, the path is I show you that you just click on the file, go to the setting area, you get all the plugin version controls. But the most important thing in project, and we go to the Python interpreter, so we show the Flask, Jinja, every library is over here. So we first of all making the basic program in Python with using the Flask, and then after we show the other programs. Okay, Matplotlib with using the Matplotlib. So right now I'm not installing the Matplotlib, but when we are starting our projects on that time we have to show you how to installing the Matplotlib. Okay, so the code is basic practicals from Flask import Flask comma list redirect. So I'm using a Flask from import Flask. Then after I need app, and this app name is Flask, and I give them name. So I give them name is underscore underscore name underscore underscore. And then if underscore underscore name underscore underscore is equal to double quotation में underscore underscore main, then colon, then app dot run. Right now I have to create one route over here, app dot route, and I'm give this simply a basic route just like in slash. I give the definition like home and return. I write down hello world. I just run this temp. Okay, so right now they give me the local host 127.0.01 and the port ID is 5000. So Python generally they using the 5000 port number. We can also change this port number. How we change the port number? Also, we also changing the local IP address as well as. So just we click this link. So they open on URL. Just a minute. Before I just there's just open. Okay, I clicked so much time, many times. Okay, what happened? Okay, okay, sure. नहीं only this will the hello word. I just run again. Please request the URL menu. Please spelling. Or sorry, I make the mistake. I write down the @ Okay. Uh, Sorry, just putting the @. I just missed the @ over here. Right now, I'll restart the program. Okay, so they show me the hello words over here. So there is a basic practical with using a Flask. With using a Flask, if we need some HTML file, so we also calling the HTML file. That's why we are using the render template. So I give the basic structure right now, and then after we go into the other programming. So if you need any program, also you also creating the route app.route. So I give them name as a /bh. I already using home, so I using like insert. Return. So I restart project. So what I'm do, already my file is open over here. So this time just do the refresh. So right now they show me my first round, but when I'm clicking and /bh, so with the changing the route address, they show me my other page. This is my first project. So that is a very basic projects we have to run in the Flask. The second important thing, if we need some HTML5 and CSS file, so how to call this HTML and CSS file? So we are using a two other folders with the name of the templates and a static. So right now we create over here two other folders.
Vishal bhai,
Yes, ma'am.
can we have a white background so this syntax can be visible?
Okay, ma'am, that should be visible right now.
No, the background of this screen can we have a white instead of black?
Okay, we just 1 minute, ma'am. Just 1 minute. Just stop the program first of all.
Or we can have a larger font
Sure, sure,
size.
sure. I just
Yeah.
changed the background. Right.
And font size also make some
Okay.
increase the font size. Yes,
Okay.
increase the font size.
Yes, sure, ma'am. Mhm. फॉन्ट साइज वैसे भी इंक्रीज हो जाएगी ना साइज okay. Okay, that's visible right now, ma'am.
Yes, now it's visible.
So if we use a HTML file, so we're creating a folders in this our projects. So right now we create one of the folder we call as a directory as well as the directory name should be as a templates. Okay, so in this template folder, our all the HTML files are located. We can't create HTML file anywhere else. That is a rules. You have been creating a templates directory, and all your HTML files should be, must be stored on a templates. So that's why the Python program they can grab all the HTML file and they use this. Okay, so in the template file, we creating one of the HTML file. I call index. So this file is created. I give it the title. Okay. Project. So in the template folder, I'm creating one of the index file. So if I need this index file, this HTML file, we require the render template. After using this render template, and then after I'm creating another route, which is show me the HTML file. The important thing is when you creating any route, so this representing on your URL. So slash and then after what the route name you want to be contained. So they representing on URL. So please, I just for the learning purpose, I'm using in BH and HH. But when we do the programming, so we give them specific names so we can understand. Otherwise, other developers should be confused. What is in HH? What is in BH? So because they are already working with all routes, only working with routes. And second thing, the most important thing, this is a Python. So right now we're talking about the Java language and C and C++ language. So we are using the curly bracket open and curly bracket close for the body of the programming language. So right now there is no any curly brackets. So we are only using the tab buttons. So, and this tab button, and they are already shown in a coding format. So please remember follow this coding formula, because if you are write down this, so that means they creating an error. So that should be under of the home tab. I creating another routes, like make another definition. You are not making the same name of the definition, so we creating another, give them name as an HTML, then colon. Then I'm using the render template. In this render template, I just call the file which I created in the HTML file, index.html. Okay, I run the project. Okay, they give me the URL. Right now this project is open. The by default slash is my hello, but in the URL when I using HH, okay, I'm making some mistake. First of all, I show that. Sorry. Return render template.
Hello.
Yes. I just restart my server. Okay, so they show me my HTML page over here.
Vishal
So,
bhai,
yes, sir. Anyone have a question?
for 1 minute. Okay,
Hello.
when I am writing the code in PyCharm in my computers, for
Uh,
example, at the end you have written render template, right?
uh,
And you got some of the IntelliSense help. So I just want to know, have you added any kind of extensions to your PyCharm, or it was already by default it is available? Because we are not able to see that pop-up list. And another things, if you can write some in Notepad step by step, even I couldn't synchronize with your steps. It's going little bit too means fast in terms of without testing. If we can have the
sorry, sir. Okay, so your first question is for regarding the extension.
yes.
Sir, we are not using any extension over here, first of
So
all.
in my computer, render underscore template is not coming. It means the Flask is not installed.
Okay, your Flask is not installed. You are using, sir, PyCharm or any other.
PyCharm,
Okay, this community mode, PyCharm community.
yes, community.
Okay, so first of all, you go to the file.
Sir, I think you need to import render underscore template.
Sir, first of all, go to the file
Mm-hmm.
and then go to the setting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sir. Over
Mm-hmm.
here, you getting the project with the name which you have to create it. Just like I created the project name as a temp.
Mm-hmm.
You just select the and you go to the Python interpreter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So right now they show all the package name which we call the library within version and latest versions.
Mm-hmm.
So right now this Flask, Jinja 2, Markup Safe, Quickbuzz, Click, all the files are installed or not, sir?
मेरे में दो ही बता रही है मेरे ख्याल से.
You only show two files, only pip and I think
Yes.
setup tools. Setup tools. Am I right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So first of all, what you do, you go to the, you have to आपको दिखा दिखा रहा है sir. This is like a run to do
Yes.
problems and terminal. You have to see the terminal over here.
Yes.
This is my
Now,
cursor. Just I start zooming to also. 1 minute, sir.
yes, terminal I got your white screen.
Just 1 minute, sir. Just 1 minute.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
starting one of the software. Uh, Actually, PyCharm is taking lots of RAM. Okay, that should be open. So this is a terminal, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So just click the terminal.
Okay.
Just looking like open these things. They give the VNV folder, VNV, and then the path name where your project is located. See users welcome PyCharm project /10.
Okay.
Okay, then after you have to write down this code, pip
Keep.
install small f Flask,
Okay.
and then click OK. Enter. You just press the enter button. I'm already installed. So they
Now it is,
show you,
yes, it is installed.
huh?
Yeah, now in my computer it shows all the okay the packages.
Your PC's lost all packages.
Earlier it was only two packages, but now after peep okay the command, I got the things which is required. Okay, as per mentioned by you, right?
Okay. You
Yes.
got the Flask going here with PyCharm interpreter. Just you
Yes.
check the file and then settings. That is
Okay.
very important, sir. Python
Yes.
interpreters,
Okay.
and you getting all these files because
Yes.
we are
Yes.
all the files in over here.
Now
You
it's not.
also
Yes.
installing file with this plus sign. You have to see this plus sign over here.
Okay.
Just on clicking the plus sign, and you find the latest one library as well as.
Yes.
You see this. This is a Flask, Flask AC,
Yes.
APIs. What you need, they all are mentioned over here.
Yes. Yes.
And you just click the install package, and they're easily installed.
Okay.
And if this is a Python version 3.7. First of all, I have told you, sir, this is 3.7. So
Okay.
there's many libraries you have to see over here. Many libraries. So some library is supporting 3.7, some library is supporting 2.7, some is a newer version as well as. So that should be like we just finding out. This is like an R&D process for us. So which library is supporting which version of the Python? That is very important, because
Okay.
in some time what happen, you have to install the package, so they show you the errors, and they also show you the GitHub path, so you can finding out particular files which you want for your Python program. Okay, so
Okay.
that's also an easy way, even though you get leave over here.
Yes. Yes. That way we can include okay the modules, right? Yes. Yes.
Sorry, Matplotlib. See, Matplotlib.
Okay.
Okay, lib. You have to see the Matplotlib library over here, and the author of the Matplotlib and version.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and install package we can click the button if, in order to install it, right? Yes.
Okay. So, but when we do step by step, then we are installing the library, so we
Okay,
can
I got it.
understand.
Right now we are not installing, just only Flask we have installed, right?
Okay, okay,
Okay.
not an issue, sir.
Thank you.
So the one thing is very important. If we call the index HTML file, so we using a template folder that all my HTML files are located. The name should be a templates. Okay, you not change just like a temp, yeah, any other name. You have must give the name as in templates. If you give the other name, so they can't understand. Okay. Second things, when we are using as an image in our file, like in this index file, I need image. Okay. So I just take one of the image. इमेज वाला तो इमेजेस कहाँ पे स्टोर होते हैं स्टैटिक्स लोगो करके जस्ट नहीं ये से नहीं वो कॉल करके लाइक होगा तो right now I have one of the image. I just download the image. Okay, this is one of the image. So I want to represent this image. So the path going to be changed. So an index. I take PR tag. Image src. Okay, and I'm using this image into this TT folder. Just I copy it and paste it. But and as we are know that we using just like this path for representing, but they're not showing this image. You see which kind of an error they have been passed on. We write down this and we just run our program. My program is run. I go to the route like HH. See, the image is not representing. Okay, so for image, for CSS, for JavaScript, so we need one other folder, static folder. So I show you the static folder first of all how to create. Where I am creating the template folders. So I creating one of the other directories, the name of the static. Okay, and I just copied this photo.jpg. I just paste over here. Let's just stop the server. I just copy it. Paste. Okay, and I paste it. So in static folder they show photo.jpg. So for the image, we go to the index and we write down some other code for that to representing image. The code is curly bracket open, curly bracket close, then URL underscore for opening bracket and closing bracket. First of all, we set the name, our folder name, static. In this statics, comma, our file name. Is equal to single quotation, and the file name is photo.jpg. Okay, so we using the URL for over here. So in our temp file, we required URL for. Right now they automatically save this all the things, and we just run our project. Okay, and we just refresh it. That show our images as well as. Okay, there's a basic practical we have to see with using a Flask. Even though we creating other files, you also making the HTML code over here as well as. Like this is my first project I have to be mentioned within BH, but here I write down the HTML code, so they also supporting the HTML code right now, just like in HTML, and then after I using a head tag. Head I using a title and give them name as a Python. Then head and body. I just write down hi. I close body and I close HTML. I also write down the HTML code over here as well as, and just as run it. I just simply run and restart it. I'm going to this file. My route name is BH. So you will see this. My title is going to be in Python and my word is hi. But that's very complicated. You not write down each and everything on HTML on this return. So we using the render template, and with the using the render template, we can use the HTML file. The most important thing you have to creating the two directories. The first one is a template where all your HTML is stored, and the second one is a static. So where your all the CSS file, JavaScript files, images, everything, because we are using frequently those two folders. Everyone got these things? So my suggestion is please do this a basic project. Then after we are directly going to the Matplotlib other projects, and we show that with the static data how we representing visualizing the data, and then after why should we require the MySQL. Hello everyone, any have any problem and issue regarding this? This is basic practical. I have to do this over here with using the Flask.
Sir, one steps I missed there. How you import static folder to here?
So first of all, you go to the temp and right click over here. With the new, you just right click the directory.
Okay. Yeah, that I knew it, but how you map with the template folder? Is there any need to
Yes,
require
sir.
any
We are
mixer?
using a URL for. See, this is a library. One of the library we can install. We also importing the
Okay, okay, got
URL
it.
for.
Got it.
And
Thank you so much.
yes,
Thank
and this URL for is taking this URL with the static folder with the file name is photo.jpg.
you. Done, done. Got it. Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone have doubts?
So do we need to use this URL for?
URL for means where your file is located. Right now in this URL means where is your file is located. So in this static folder, if you have in right now you have to write down the static. That is mandatory, because right now when we making any kind of the projects, so that is mandatory for us to make the templates folder where all the HTML file are stored, and second thing is a static folder where all the CSS file is stored. But in the static folder, when you're creating another file, so you have to be slash it and write down the particular folder name over here. So, and URL for means where you are located, where the file is located.
So actually, I have directly given a path, and it is working for me. So
You directly given the path
yes,
without
slash
a
static slash photo.png.
in PyCharm you directly give the path.
Yes.
Means you are removing the static.
No, I have given the path. I'm not using this URL underscore for.
But
Instead, what I've done.
just 1 minute. You open the HTML file in the PyCharm, or you directly open the HTML file?
No, in PyCharm. I've written it down similar to that of yours, but in the source I have directly given slash static slash whatever is my file name,
Okay.
and it is working. So
So
I'm
you
not sure if
write
it
down
is
the path name, whole path name over here.
okay.
You have to write down the path name over here, sir.
Yes, I have already written the path name. Instead of using this curly braces and other things, within the source I have simply written down the path slash
Okay, so
static.
just share the screen within WhatsApp, sir, please.
All right, so I'll do that.
I think in browser,
What it say that? So you write down whole the path over here, sir. Excuse me, sir. You have to write down whole the path over here. C slash whatever the folder name, and then after slash, then the JPG. Am
No,
I right?
I haven't written. I have just written static and then whatever is my file names slash static. I'll just share the picture.
Okay, just I show that.
Yeah.
You share the screen or not, sir?
No, I'm just sharing it with you.
is it working on browser? The file?
Yes, it is. Uh,
But we follow
But
the
where
so if you can check, I have just shared it with you.
You okay? But the image, where the image is where you get the image.
On WhatsApp, if you can check it.
Okay.
Agreed.
Write down statics and circles. Okay, sir, I understand. You just write down the static. You have to already put this file into the static folder. Am I right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Uh, that should also work, sir, because that's not an issue. But, sir, when we are using a URL for, so they specifically find out when we are doing the project in onboard. So we
Okay.
specifically mention the URL for, so that should be not creating any kind of an issue.
All right.
That's the right way, because I understand you have to write down the path, but yes, you have to write down the static slash and circle crop.png file.
Okay.
So that should
So
also working,
this
because they
is
are already located on static folder.
the
They are
way you
already
have
located on
shown. That
static.
is, I think,
But
that
sir,
is the.
when we talking about when we take any kind of the templates, so they are already distributed all the files.
Okay.
So every time we are not mentioned this time static slash, because when I give the project to other persons, so they should be very confused for this.
Okay.
So what we do the write down the statics, and within the statics we make some of the folder, and those folder we have taken all the images files, and we specifically mention over here with the URL for. Okay,
Okay. Perfect.
it's not an
Perfect.
issue. Yes, I'm thinking about you have
So
to
this is the best
take
way to write down as a
yes,
okay,
source.
Vishal
This
bhai?
is the best way to write down.
yes,
Hello, Vishal bhai.
yes, sir.
For example, in static folder, I have created one CSS folder, right, where I am putting my all CSS file.
Okay,
So, in order to specify the subdirectory,
so
should I
you
specify static
you sir
slash?
write down this thing CSS.
Yes, yes. So I think this particular mechanism will be helpful when you host your applications on real environment.
Definitely, sir. And there right now, when we give the project to another person, so they can better understand where the file
Oh,
is located actually.
oh, thank you.
We give you the path, so they should be confused. Okay.
Okay.
That's good. That's good, sir.
Okay. Second things, generally the port number is very important. You have to see this is port number is 5000. Okay. By default, they take the port number is 5000, and generally we are using the port number as an 8080. 3360 is like for MySQL, and the other port is like 8080. So when we deploy the project, so we mandatory to change the port number. So and the run sections. So see, this is a 5000. So I change the port number first of all. I just close. So on the run, I simply write down port. डबल कोट नहीं है. So I write down the port 8080. I just run this project. So right now you need to see this port number going to be in cheat. This is 8080. When I click this, see this is run on the other port number. Okay. Even though we change the host ID as well as. Like I put in 1.1.1.1. Restart. Host, I see. How to change the host? Let me. Just liking 10.0 5 8. Okay, just run it. Just need an error. 10 8.1 they give the error. The error क्यों दे रहा? Why this gives?
Double quotation is required to there.
Huh?
Double quotation is required.
Just
Comma,
moment, sir. Host is sorry.
double,
Just 1 minute and
yeah. And host sequences doesn't matter to there. You can put any sequence. Port and host and port, anything.
yeah.
But that IP is available to there. Yeah, done.
Okay, they show me the error. Why should they show me the error?
Can you write
They
local
must show the
host?
address.
The requested address is not found to there, so you just put it 127 series or your local IP.
Or a local host?
Like 127. Just run it. Okay. There's a lazy mode. Okay, they're just changing right now.
They are allowing just C category IP address, sir.
Yes, we give an IP address as well as our website name as well as
Right.
the port is very important. So over in run sections, we can change our host name and port number. So I hope everyone do this task. So right now we go into the other sections where we my other colleagues Razin, they take the sessions and they show you how we using the Matplotlib and other things. Okay. And there is a break time or right now we have to be continued?
Sir, there is a break of hour.
This is a break time, I think 11:31.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Uh, Manisha, this is break time?